All right, folks, today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to kind of go a little bit backwards to the way I deliver information. Usually I make sure that every video I do, I go back and I give you some background and I just keep building that foundation of truth. Build, 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 build. And then at the end of the new video, I'll dump all the new stuff. That way for anybody that's a newcomer, you got to see everything you needed even in one video. But for those of y'all that have been coming here, you know what's up. You guys have been through the ringer. You've seen all this evidence. You know that the Vatican is a big snake. You've seen all the delivery of all the dead sheep. You know, you've seen all this stuff. So I'm not going to go over that. I'm just going to give you the new revelation right up front. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back just like I did yesterday and said, look how hindsight is 2020. So my video from 2011 now is not only supported with data, the data is not perfect from that back then. It's perfect and it's been augmented. It's been built upon and there's no way to argue with it now. So we went back, we watched the hieroglyph being decrypted, and now here we are in 2018, and now all the evidence that has come since then has supported it. It's been completely supported. So here, let me just go ahead and drop the bomb right now on you guys. Y'all ready? Let's just go ahead and drop some bombs. You know the Bible, Jesus said these words, "You serpents, you generation of vipers." Let's make sure. Let's see. Yeah, this is Jesus speaking to the Pharisees. So I'm going to go to very quickly. So we have a reference point. We're going to go to eSword and we're going to go to Matthew because I always come with the scriptures. Matthew 23, verse 33. You see all the writings in red, you serpents, through the idea of sharpness of vision, a snake, figuratively a sly, cunning, artful, malicious person, especially Satan. So when he says you serpents, he's talking about they're related to Satan. The serpent. Let's look this up together. Okay, so from certain tenses, there's a lot of words to look up there. To gaze, that is with wide open eyes. This is interesting because this comes back into Revelation. I've seen it. So, optomine. Okay, so you serpents, you generation of vipers. Let me highlight vipers. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to get the words. Okay, there it is. An adder or other poisonous snake, literally or figuratively a viper. I'll just make it all green since we're going to still. Okay, so Jesus is talking to the religious folks, and he's calling them a generation of vipers, you serpents. So he's calling the Pharisees and the Sadducees serpents. He's calling them generation of vipers. Huh. Well, let's just read something real quick just for kicks and grins. Why did John the Baptist refer to the Pharisees as a brood of vipers? Answer: John the Baptist condemned the Pharisees and Sadducees as a brood of vipers in Matthew 3:7. We were just looking at Jesus condemning them. But in Matthew 3:7, a brood of vipers is a family of snakes. Because when snakes hatch, they hatch in what's called a clutch or a brood. So there's a bunch of them, and they hatched all together. And we're at the hatching point right now, and I'm going to prove it. When I say I'm going to prove it, the Lord has allowed me the great honor of getting to prove it and share it with you, because he showed it to me. I'm telling you, I had some problems with this one the other day well, for quite a while, and I just kind of gave up, to be honest. Right here. I was like, I looked at the presidential portrait, the Lord, I drew in all those different lines to show y'all that the whole darn thing is a viper. Absolutely mind-boggling. Hang on one sec. Okay, sorry about that. So anyway, it's brood of vipers is a family of snakes. Because vipers are venomous, John was essentially calling the religious leaders deadly sons of serpents. That's quite a bold denunciation, and Jesus repeated the Pharisees in Matthew 12:34. So we also know that there's a reference to the serpent in Genesis 3. The Hebrew scriptures, which the Pharisees knew well, associate the serpent with Satan in Genesis 3. For John to call the Pharisees a brood of vipers implies they bore satanic qualities. This is clearly stated by Jesus in John 8:44. Let's see, you are your father the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of it. Okay, so when he tells the unbelieving Jews they belong to their father, the devil, when John and Jesus called the Pharisees a brood of vipers, they were pointing out these men were deceitful, dangerous, and wicked. Deceitful in that they were hypocrites, and dangerous that they were blind leaders of the blind, and wicked in their hearts and full of murder. Okay, so that's the connotation with the viper. Now, let's go to the Obama portrait. Now, I'm going to show you the new revelation right after the Obama portrait. But I want you to look at the Obama portrait because I drew a couple more things in. So crazy. Okay, let's enlarge this, and I want to show you what I'm able to see now. Sometimes it takes getting the right angle. You see these darker lines? Watch this. This is very obvious now. So I took and I went right along this edge, and that gives the viper face the 3D. Here's the eye coming down to the pit. Here's the eye coming down to the pit. And the snake's mouth is open. It's actually open very wide. And then if y'all look very closely, watch this. You see these lines in Obama's face right here? This is not right. Right here, you see this? What does he have? Some big jowl right there? That is the tongue of the serpent. Watch. There it is. You see it right here? So if I was to take my pen and I was to just box that in, go all the way up, right here, there it is. Boom. And then here as well. There it is right there. And it goes up and it. So the tongue meets up right in here. This is the split tongue of the serpent, those lines right there. So what I did was I put them on a computer program I had, and I just drew them in. So this is a snake with its open mouth. And then when you take a marker and you just box in the bottom of Obama's chin, and you feel this is a serpent. That is a viper that is literally striking. It is mouth open, coming at you. Fangs coming at you. Okay, remember the Maserati commercial, the little mulatto girl that doesn't drive a Maserati, but she does a Maserati commercial? We slowly come out of the darkness, walk out of the shadows, and strike. Yep. Because they're a brood of vipers, the whole race, the whole world system has become a brood of vipers. Now watch this. I'm going to show you the new picture of Obama right here. And y'all know half of this is a Tyrannosaurus Rex, half is a sheep. And then we're going to move on to Michelle Obama, which is just amazing. Okay, so let me just make my point right here. Here is a viper. And we'll just slide that right over. And all you have to do is look at the rudimentary shape. Find the eyebrow coming down to the nose. Find the eyebrow coming down to the eyebrow coming down to the nose. eyebrow coming down to the nose. Now this snake's mouth is open, but we can still see absolutely that is absolutely a viper. No doubt about it. So now the Lord let me prove to you it's a viper. Now, here again, sometimes I do them in different colors for different people's perceptions. This one I color darker. It's easy to see. It's just a no-brainer. Absolutely a viper. Okay, so now let's look at, here we go. Wait a minute, let me go back up. Sorry. Here we go. Let's go ahead and establish the fact that I drew in all these lines. I drew in every one of those lines. I blew this thing up into a poster. I drew in the lines. I did not augment. I did not do something that wasn't there. I took on the same mind as the artist that created it. So as every line has to be thought, every line has to be drawn. I know a lot of people, oh yes, Chinese people do it. You know what? Everything in there has what's called intent. I'm an artist. There's intent in that painting. And the intent was to make it a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And the intent was to put a dead sheep in there. And the intent was to make it a viper. The intent was to put a sperm on the side of his face. There's also a serpent eating a smaller sperm. There's one sperm being eaten by a serpent. And then there's a large sperm on the side of his face that turns into a fang. That was the intent of the artist. Okay, so I've drawn it in. I'm in a position to speak. Anyone that hasn't drawn in all the lines that I've drawn in, you're not in a position to speak. So anyone that wants to try and refute it, draw in all the lines. Okay, so here we go. Here is the head of the sheep. So here's the top of the head of the sheep. These flowers right here, very specifically placed for the viper as well as the sheep. This flower right here that is yellow in the original, I'll show it to you. And this one right here, very specifically put there because those make the eyebrows, the fleshly eyebrows of the Tyrannosaurus. And I'll show you that in just a minute. Very obvious when you look at the original. But I want to blow this up and I'll show you that I put that there for the eye of the sheep. Here's the chrysanthemum, that's the tongue of the sheep sticking out. And here's the ear, I colored it white. And I outlined the white ear of the sheep. So there's a dead sheep, and here's a Tyrannosaurus. Here's the eye of the Tyrannosaurus. There's his eyebrow. There's his eyebrow on the far side. Coming down his nose, his mouth is open. Here's his bottom jaw. The dark area is an open mouth, but you can see the teeth even. So there's a Tyrannosaurus with his mouth wide open, and he's got his eye there and eyebrow there. So now I'm going to reduce it in size. It's easier to see when you reduce these things in size. Satan likes to hide it so big in front of your face, it disappears because it's so big. Because you're looking at all the little stuff instead of getting back and looking at the cumulative sum of the image, which is the way Satan hides stuff. I've been doing this for a while. I know what he does. Okay, now watch this. So now let's take, here's the clear plastic layover right here. There's that eyebrow thing I'm talking about on Tyrannosaurus. Watch this. So here is a clear plastic layover that, let's see. This clear plastic layover, look, goes right there. So now I'll enlarge just the clear plastic layover, and we'll examine this, and then I'll put it right on top. Because I put a clear plastic layover right on top of, I put it right on top of the painting, you know. Then I put a clear plastic layover on it, and I traced in every line with the Sharpie marker, every single line you see there. I drew it in. So then when I move the plastic layover, I have an exact image of what I just drew over. So then when I slide it back, that proves what it is. It's proven now. Okay, let's prove it. There's your sheep. There's your eye of your sheep. There's your ear of the sheep. There's the tongue sticking out of the sheep, coming under the neck of the sheep. And here's your Tyrannosaurus. There's the eye of the Tyrannosaurus. There's his eyebrow. There's the front. There's an eyebrow on the far side. And his neck is turned like that. And I have an image of a Tyrannosaurus that I'm going to use. And you can see how those leaves make sharp teeth. And I don't like it when that little full-size thing. So anyway, you can see how those make sharp teeth in his mouth. So, and his neck is turned towards you. So there it is. So there's the dead sheep and there's the reptile. Well, you know what's so amazing about that? That is the exact same thing as the hieroglyph of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. Let's watch this one little part of the video. Watch this just for a moment. Okay, that was an egg. By the way, I did the exact same thing for this hieroglyph. Clear plastic layovers, draw on the image, move the image. What do I have here? Oh, I have a reptile. Oh, wow, I have a sheep. I have a reptile egg. And then you just take them and put them right back where they belong. That's how simple this is. Okay, now I want to stop. Guys, that's a baby reptile that's like a lizard type reptile. That's not a snake. Like maybe a baby Tyrannosaurus in an egg. Yeah, because now Barack Obama is a full-grown Tyrannosaurus. But back in the hieroglyph of Akhenaten and Nefertiti, it's just a little egg in the head that's in the, it's a little baby that's in the head of the kid. Oh, the race, the new race, the hybridized human race. Wow. So Jesus said, cleanse your hearts, you double-minded, because in your mind is a dead sheep and a reptile. That's what your mind's fighting over. Cleanse your hearts, you double-minded, because the battle is between those two different seeds. That's what's going on. And that's what's happening inside of you. That's why you have to be born of the Spirit. Keep watching. Okay. Okay, now this is really amazing because you're looking at something that has transcended time. That is 1,300 years before Christ, that hieroglyph. I can show you the same thing in a grocery store. I can show you the same thing on products in your stores. The same exact agenda. I can walk into a store called Starbucks and say, that guy over there is going to draw a picture of me with a dead sheep on my face. Where did it come from? Well, it came from where you're looking at. Back from ancient Egypt. Who was the enemy of God's, who enslaved God's people? The Egyptians. Okay. Now I want to show you something. The nostril there of the sheep is the eye of the reptile. It just depends on your ability to perceive it. Now, that's my spiritual gift. It's supernatural. It's not natural. It's supernatural. And I'm going to say this now because there's a guy called the Groxt on YouTube that has tried to take this hieroglyph that was a pure gift that the Lord gave me, and he put his own psychotic, whacked out spin on it. May the Lord have mercy on you, Mark. What you're doing is wrong. It's evil, and it's not of God. So you should stop doing it. There's your warning. Okay. Okay, let's go back to that sheep now. Y'all see the sheep right there? There is obviously a sheep. There's the sheep's eye. There's the nostril. There's the nostril on the far side. Well, if you look at this, doesn't that remind you of the Tyrannosaurus that we just saw that's like on Obama's head? But it's full grown now. This is a baby, and here's the eye of the reptile. And there's the ridge on the other side of the eye, like the eyebrow. And so this is also a sheep. So there's a reptile that's superimposed over a sheep. There you go. There you go. There it is. Okay, so now we have a baby Tyrannosaurus that is killing the sheep, that is benefiting from the death of the sheep, and the kid's head is the egg that's hatching the reptile. Do you understand? It's about a new race of beings being birthed within the human race. That reminds me of Lady Gaga. Let's go look that up together. Don't worry, Michelle Obama's coming right up. Okay, watch this. Let's just do Lady Gaga real quick.
The creation of hybrid.
Italian girl from New York. This is the big time for me.
Well, that's right. Well, we appreciate you being here.
For me.
Well, that's right. Well, we appreciate you being here.
But most importantly, I think it's about bringing people together, and the performance we did last night at the Grammys was, and what we've been doing with the egg and the rebirth. It's meant to signify an artistic statement of birthing a new race, and it's a race with no prejudice, a race within the race of humanity that bears no prejudice against anyone. So that's really the statement in itself.
Well, that's great. That's really good. Bubbles.
She's already making a scene on the red carpet. Go for it when you cut to it, for real.
Wherever you get her on the carpet then, right? Kids gonna come through on the carpet again? What are we talking?
Okay, so there's Lady Gaga in a reptile egg, and she just got through telling you it was about birthing a new race within the race of humanity. And that is exactly what a hieroglyph that's 1,300 years before Christ is showing you. There's the reptile in the egg, and here comes the poor dead sheep, which is you. Here you go. A race within the race of humanity. Now, you're looking at the greatest. I mean, if this was Ancient Aliens or if this was the National Geographic Channel, everybody would be freaking out of their mind. Oh, the mysteries. You're looking at the mystery of all mysteries solved. You are what we're looking at. That's it. That's what this is. How'd you get here? Because you made obviously the wrong decision in an insurrection. And because God loves you, he took the form of the same flesh that you're in, and he brought his spirit into the system via a virgin to purchase your soul back, because there's body, spirit, and soul. And you need to be born of the spirit. You need to be born of a different spirit, because the spirit that's at work in the hearts of the children of disobedience is the prince of the power of the air. We all know that. So if you have to be born again, that means you got to get a new spirit. Jesus told Nicodemus, "Verily I say unto you, unless you're born again, you will not see the kingdom of heaven." And Nicodemus said, "How can you go back into your mother's womb?" And Jesus said, "Yeah, you have to be born of the spirit and of water." A lot of people think that's baptism. That's incorrect. when you birthed out of your mother, water and the Spirit. Should you be baptized? Absolutely. Is baptism a requirement for being saved? No, it's not. When I see people say that, I'm like, well, what about the guy on the cross next to Jesus? Did he get baptized when Jesus said, today you'll be with me in paradise? The answer is no, he didn't. But should you? Absolutely. Getting baptized is your outward profession that Christ is your Savior, and you are professing him publicly to the whole world. And you say, I identify myself with Christ. That's what baptism is. Okay, so here we go. Now, let's get to it. So now we have a race within a race that's from a hieroglyph that's 1,300 years before Christ. We have the Bible saying, you brood of vipers, you serpents, you generation of vipers, right out of the mouth of the king himself. How can you escape the damnation of hell? And now, watch this. Okay, now we have Barack Obama, and in the presidential portrait, you're looking at what is the presidential portrait. There you go. There's a Tyrannosaurus Rex on one side of his head, and then on the other side, you have a dead sheep. Let's see. Let's go like this. And I just want to shove this in there just to make the point. So watch this. I'll grab this and I'll shove it in here. Oh, well, let me do the full size. I'll put it back right there and I'll make it a thumbnail. Watch this. I want to shove this Tyrannosaurus Rex and this dead sheep. I want to shove it into this right here. Let me see what we have. I'll go right here. I'll go back one. So let's put the Tyrannosaurus Rex that's from Barack Obama. Look, watch this. Let's do this. Y'all see this is the same thing right here? Let's take this image right here and let's shove it right into there. And look what we got. Oh my gosh. We have the identical thing. Look, there's a baby Tyrannosaurus Rex, and there's the dead sheep. Oh my gosh. The same as a hieroglyph that's 1,300 years before Christ. And I wonder who this pharaoh was called, Barak Akhenaten? Yeah. There we go. Let me put that back. Okay, so now just to prove it, let's just prove it. There's your sheep, there's your Tyrannosaurus, and I'm going to reduce it in size, and I will take this, and I will simply go doot doot. There it is. There it is. Perfect. So now it's been proven right before your eyes. Okay, so you ever wonder why? I mean, Barack Obama's got a dead sheep. Well, the largest altar in the world is a dead sheep, isn't it? The Catholic Church has the same thing going on. Wow, we got some pretty wild stuff. Let me show you one more image that I think you should see, because this one I left the eyebrows of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. I left them yellow because in the portrait, those are flowers. And they're these yellow flowers. I'm like, no, those are the eyebrows of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's what those are. And so now let me just prove that the eyebrows of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And here we go. So I'll take a Tyrannosaurus Rex right here, and I'll go, oh, wow, look at that. Amazing. So why is Barack Obama a Tyrannosaurus Rex? Well, let's take Barack Obama, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and shove him right up into, because the baby is full grown now. The human race that was this hybridized reptilian thing killing the dead sheep, it's grown up now. It is full grown. And it is the king of them all is this guy named Barack Obama. Now, I told everybody Barack was the Antichrist. A lot of people bailed out on me, didn't they? A lot of people jumped ship. Kleck's wrong. It's all right. No one stuck to it once he wasn't president anymore, did they? I'll look at you. Barack Obama is the Antichrist. Okay? And just continue to watch and we'll give you all the data points. Okay, everybody that jumped ship, fickle. It's because you were guessing. Here you go. Now, let's look at a little Egyptian theology. Let's look at Michelle Obama first, okay? I told you I'd give it to you right up front. I sort of kind of did, but let me just give it to you. So anyway, let me show you how it happened. Who likes a good testimony? You see these pictures? Okay, someone sent me these pictures, and they were on it. They wrote, Revelation 13:3, head wound, holding book left hand. And so they wrote some little notes on here wanting me to look at what they're showing and what they're trying to accomplish by sending me these pictures. These have been sitting around for quite a while. I looked at them and in my spirit immediately said, that's not it. But I left those over on the counter and they've been sitting there for quite a while. Just a couple days ago, I said, you know what? It's time to go ahead and let these go. I was going to toss them. And I heard the Lord say no. And I thought, weird. And I just left them sitting on my bar counter over there. And I just left them. I didn't start looking at them. I just left them. They were in my hands to throw in the trash. And I heard the Lord say no. And I went, okay. So I put them down. I walked off. I came out from the next day. I woke up early Sunday morning. It was dark. I walked into this area. The lights were off. It was very dark. And then I looked over on the counter and I went, oh. Y'all want to see what's up? Okay, let me show you what's up. Then we'll backtrack a couple things. Here you go. Let's see. Let's do it. Let's do Michelle Obama. Let me show you how I saw it. There's the picture of it on the counter. Let's see if anybody can discern what it is. I was like, oh my Lord, I know exactly what it is. That's a clever job of hiding it. Do you know what you're looking at? I took a photo of my countertop just so y'all could see it. Now, the way Satan hides things, he likes to do it so big it disappears. But let me show you what you're looking at. This is what you're looking at right there. You're looking at a serpent hatching out of an egg. That's what you're looking at. Let me blow this one up. And I'll take this serpent and I'll go right here. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at a serpent that is hatching from its egg. That race is hatching. And that's why she's got that white dress on. And now everybody's like, well, what are those lines on her dress? It's a good question. I'm glad you asked. Because I was in my hieroglyph that the Lord had me decrypt years ago. There was some very interesting stuff in it. I even colored it the same color. You see the different colors? It was DNA. I was like, why do they have DNA in here? And there are 3 different serpents that are eating this guy. Here's the guy's mouth right here. There's his eye. There's his eyebrow. There's his eye. There's his eyebrow. His mouth is open. And here's one green serpent. There's the eye. There's the eye. The mouth is open. The jaw comes down in here. Here's a purple serpent with its mouth open. And here is like a rattlesnake type snake from underneath. And that's because all 3 of them are eating this poor guy right here, which is actually the Queen Nefertiti holding her own child's hand. You think? So Jesus said, I didn't come to bring peace, but division. So those 3 serpents that are eating the one guy, does that remind you of a Taco Bell commercial? 3 cheeses blended together. DNA right there. Now watch, let me show you the DNA strip even better because I've got a better image of it. Okay. Now what's really strange is the queen and the king are getting stung in the back of the neck. I noticed it. I'm like, that's a stinger. Right there in the back of the neck, right here. And I went, wow, that's a stinger, and that's DNA. Oh, death, where is thy sting? And what's really fascinating is there's a big reptile standing right behind the queen. And just wait how this fits into Michelle Obama. When you look at her hand right here, this is the Queen Nefertiti. That's all those serpents eating the guy. That doesn't look like any hand I've ever seen, but I can see the serpent's eye, tip of his nose, coming down the back of his head. That's one serpent. There's the eye of the other serpent, the fang, the bottom jaw. And I can see it very easily because that's the gift the Lord gave me. So this is the arm of the queen holding the hand of her child, and it looks like a big clump of bizarreness, but when I colored it in, I was able to figure out, oh, it's three serpents eating the kid's hand holding her mom, but it doesn't look like hands at all. It's obviously, definitely three serpents. But let's look what's on the queen's body herself. Look at the long serpent right here. Now this is really amazing because the eye of the serpent is really the womb of the little girl that she's holding, because this is really a girl, the kid's leg right here and the other leg, but the kid's body looks more like a pork chop right here, but that is a serpent with the kid in the mouth. So Nefertiti is a dead sheep upside down. She's got a serpent eating her own kid. I'll show it to you in its raw form right here. And it's very easily, once I've shown it to you, there you go. So there's the head of the serpent. Here is the head of the serpent, right? There's the eye of the serpent is right there on the womb of the little kid. Look at the little kid's hand going down. What does it look like? Oh, it looks like a serpent. That doesn't look like a hand. That looks like a serpent even with the eye. But this is a large constrictor serpent, no doubt about it. And then it goes down here, and when you follow the lines, you see these? That's DNA. And that DNA strip ran all the way down underground, and I was like, why does it go underground to like the pit where there's a guy trapped in hell? And now I know why, because there's a race locust down there. That's where that DNA comes from. It's like, wow, wow. So now everything makes even more sense. That's why that DNA strip runs all the way down to the pit where there's an image of a guy trapped in hell. Let's go ahead and watch this again, because, you know what, let's look at Michelle Obama real quick, and she's a serpent hatching from an egg. There you go, Michelle. You are a serpent that's hatching. There you go. No doubt about it. Now, for your perception, I've done a couple things to make it easier for you, but you know what, if you want, all you got to do really is squint your eye. Just squint your eye a little bit, and I outline the egg in yellow, and just squint your eye, and you'll see there comes your serpent right out of an egg. And let me give you a video of that. And here comes a serpent out of an egg. Mm-hmm. This is actually a black mamba, one of the deadliest snakes in the world. And there you go. Now, if we were to take that picture and rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise, and you see that snakes have this gelatinous stuff from the embryo when they come out, aka what looks like her hair, and that's why they gave it that look. Okay, now that black mamba is starting to open its mouth, and it looks, you know, I'll give you a quick view. It's really pretty creepy. So Michelle Obama, in her presidential and first lady portrait, she's a couple things. She is a serpent hatching from an egg, and Lord told me pay attention, because let me show you something else that the enemy likes to do. Okay, here is an image of two twins. I told you Kehinde Wiley, he's from the largest population of dizygotic twins in the world. It's a tribe in Africa, and some insane number of almost all families have a set of twins. It's crazy. They're dizygotic, which means two separate eggs fertilized by two different sperms. Oh, you mean just like Genesis? Yes, just like Genesis. Seed of the serpent, seed of the woman. And the angel and the serpent beguiled Eve. You know, I've shown you all the stuff. I've gone through the scriptures. I've showed you the Targum. It's a no-brainer. That's why it's called Cain and Abel, because the system is cannibalistic. Oh, look at this. Here's a cannibalistic system. There's a reptile, and the sheep is dying, but the reptile is growing. Cannibalistic. Wow. Isn't that amazing? So yeah, pretty amazing stuff. But let me show you this real quick. Let me show you these two girls. Why does this set of girls that are fraternal twins, why is this girl, why is her hand a raptor? He put a ring on her finger right there to make the eye of the raptor. If I was simply to draw this line in right here and just box in her hand right here, there's the open mouth of the raptor, and that's why I put that ring right there, because one is feeding off the other. Cain and Abel, cannibalistic. The whole thing is twins. That's why Kehinde Wiley likes to put images of raptors that are, you know, eating the twin. There it is. No doubt about it. Okay, so let's go back now. Now let's look at Michelle Obama. Now remember, the artist used a ring to give you the eye of the raptor. And here you go. Let's see. And there you go. There's your serpent coming out of the egg right there. No doubt about it. Absolutely a serpent coming out of an egg. Let's see. There you go. There it is. Serpent coming out of an egg, hatching out of an egg. So Michelle Obama, in her First Lady picture, she's a serpent hatching from an egg, and she's something else. Lord told me rotate it. And I went, that is very bizarre. And I thought, no doubt about it, why in the world would they make an ostrich out of her body and out of her hand? Let's take a look at her hand real quick. And we'll take a look at the original picture too. She's got a ring right there. I drew these lines right there are definitely there in the shadow. And all I did was take my drawing tool on my computer and just box in that line for you, just to make it a little bit more obvious. Even her hair looks like ostrich plumes, doesn't it? Why would they make Michelle Obama an ostrich of all things? I'm glad you asked. Because in Egyptian theology, by the way, the people that kept God's children in slavery before the Exodus were the Egyptians, and the ostrich is very important in their culture, and the goddess that it represents, it actually ends up at Akhenaten. I was like, what? You've got to be kidding. Okay, so Appearance. The feather is depicted as tall ostrich plume whose tip bends over its own weight, meaning the feather, because of its name Shut, was a symbol of, that's perfect, Shut, was a symbol of Shu. Shu was the Egyptian god of the air and father of the earth, Geb, and the sky, Nut. I showed y'all Nut with the Prometheus thing. Shu was often wearing a feather in his hair. Occasionally, Geb was shown dressed in feathers, representation of air, which covers him. Usually, the feather was a symbol of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and order. The goddess was always shown wearing an ostrich feather in her hair. In art, the feather was shown in scenes of the Hall of Ma'at. The hall is where the deceased was judged for his worthiness to enter the afterlife. The seat of the deceased soul, his heart, was weighed on a balance against the feather of Ma'at. If the heart was free from the impurities of sin and therefore lighter than the feather of it, then the dead person could enter the afterlife. Other gods in the judgment hall were also part of the tribunal, overseeing the weight of the heart, also pictured holding a feather. In Egyptian theology, this is considered part of their final judgment. Thus, the pharaohs of Egypt saw it as their cosmic role to uphold the principles of Ma'at, and was due to Ma'at that the pharaohs had the authority to rule the land. Imhotep stated that Ma'at was placed upon his breast by Amon himself. Akhenaten, the heretic king, who was accused of deviating from her laws by his successors, repeatedly emphasized the adherence to Ma'at on many of his monuments. Okay, so, and here's the part about, the soul being whether or not it was lighter than a feather. If it wasn't lighter than a feather, it gets fed to like a crocodile. They drop the heart in the mouth of a crocodile. So, why does Michelle Obama turn into, and it's, again, this has to do with their final judgment. So you have Michelle Obama that matches, she's a serpent. She is a serpent hatching from an egg right there. That's a serpent hatching from an egg, folks. So she's a serpent hatching from an egg. She's got DNA on her dress, strands of DNA. Let's go back to the hieroglyph and watch the DNA get put on. Now there's that alien, which is a serpent being that is being drawn in right in front of your face, and it turns to a testicles and a penis penetrating female vagina. What's the Catholic Church? It's a serpent, and the mouth of the serpent is the entrance to the female vagina. Well, isn't that convenient that this serpent being right here, his neck is entering a female vagina. His neck turns to a penis. It's all perfect. This is impossible. There you go. So let's pause it right there for a second, and let's go back to the Obama stuff for a second, and let's go to Miss Rihanna, And let's take Rihanna with the devil on her crotch and put it right up into there. Wow. So this is getting like everything fits. That's very strange that everything happens to fit together. Okay, now this is very important right here. This is who became your new daddy right here. What you're looking at right now, this is a representation of who your new dad is, because if you're here on this planet, you became a slave to this. Because the image I'm drawing in right now on that hieroglyph is what eats all his own children, which is Lucifer, Satan. He consumes his own. Yep, just watch. I want you to look at this tongue right here. See this? See the little split at the end? He's got a tongue like a serpent. I drew that in a little more last night for you. Let me show you where that tongue goes. It goes right to the nose of the child he's got, and he's stealing his breath, and the kid's body actually goes inside his mouth. But those who try and hide their plans, they turn everything upside down. So when I turn him upside down, he's going to be eating his own kid, and his kid is a dead sheep with a baby reptile, Tyrannosaurus, in his head. Mind-boggling. There you go. Okay, now look right where that tongue goes. See, it goes right to the nose of the kid. And look at now look at Akhenaten. Look right here at the Pharaoh. Look, he's taking the breath out of his own child. He's taking his life. He's sucking his essence out of him. Y'all want to know the mystery of all things? Okay, so now here's a guy trapped in hell. Anyone that doesn't think hell's not real, like the Pope telling people, I just use a hieroglyph that the Lord God showed me what was in it, and just the Lord let me just prove that hell is real, and here's what happens to those that don't get converted. There's your essence, and it goes down into the pit, and the Pharaoh has his feet blocking the door, so you can't get out. You're there eternally. See? See his feet right there? And the door is blocked. And now see, here's that DNA I was talking about. You see it right here? And it goes all the way down. And I'm like, why does it all go all the way down underneath? You know, because the above ground race got their DNA system from that which is beneath. There it is. So you see how the serpent, this DNA, look. See this? It goes all the way from below, all the way up onto the serpent, right to the little girl's womb. That's what the eye of the serpent is. Do you get it? The eye of the serpent is the little girl's womb. That's what he had his eye on. There you go. Here's a guy trapped in hell. Legs turned to flames. Feet blocking the door. Nefertiti. Look at that. She's a serpent eating her own kid. Look at the big reptile standing right behind her. This is the eye of the reptile right here. The entire head of the child is the eye of this green reptile right here. And there's the mouth. There's the bottom jaw. There's the neck. And look. And then the arm of the queen becomes the arm of the reptile holding the child. See, there's the little kid looking at mom. By the way, there's a devil right here. There's a sheep right here. And there's a devil with its tongue out looking this direction. And here's the kid with his hand. And look at this snake right here. There's a snake. There's the eye of the serpent, jaw, mouth open. There's the other serpent eating the poor guy right here. This is a big clump. That's not a hand, folks. That's a guy being eaten by 3 different serpents. Triple helix DNA. Would you like a Taco Bell? 3 blended cheeses? Yeah. Yeah. That's not a pronucleus, is it? In the Taco Bell commercial. Something new for the masses. So there it is. There's your serpent eating the kid. Here's a giant reptile. But what's this behind the head of the serpent? And there's one behind the pharaoh. I can guarantee you they're not wearing scarves. Those are not scarves from the Indy 500. They're not wearing some really cool, crazy scarf from the Indy 500. Those are stingers. And I looked very closely at this one and I broke it down. That's a stinger going into the back of the neck. There it is. And there's DNA in that stinger. DNA in that stinger too. That's why I would submit to you that when the scorpions come out of the pit, they have the power to sting men. One will seek death and will not find it. They'll desire to die and death shall flee from them because they're being changed. They're incapacitated. Let me show you something that would highly suggest that. So let's see. Let me open up one new folder here real quick. And I will do, this is it. Let me show you an image that would highly suggest that the scorpions from the pit, when they come out and they sting everybody, that it will be a transmutation live type thing. Okay, here we go. Mut. Mut is the mother goddess, the goddess of death of the Egyptian pantheon of gods. So remember the day the Lord took me by the park and there were vultures everywhere? It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Well, let me show you Mut. There's Mut. Look right there from the pit. Does she look a little bit like a scorpion? Yeah, that's kind of crazy. That is very common. Her hands look a little bit like serpents too, don't they? So that's a good folder to go look at. Let's get back. So here is the whole agenda. You see that right there? That is DNA going into the back of the neck of the queen. DNA going into the back of the neck of the king. It's a stinger. Let's see. Let's do the cumulative sum. Here's a collective consciousness. Okay, guys, so here we go. Collective consciousness. I'm going to pause this for just a second so you guys can see this. Look, here's the eye of the devil right here. This is the eyebrow. There's the eye. Here's his other eye right here, which is the eye of the child. that Akhenaten was holding, okay? Now here's the nose, lip, line between the lips, bottom lip, chin. Okay, there's a horn wrapped around the kid's whole head. There's also this horn that goes up because this kid is the eyes and the ears of the devil. Get it? Collective consciousness. That's the all-seeing eye. That's why I put this equals the all-seeing eye. Okay, let's go back to that. So you see his face now, don't you? There it is. There's the eye. There's the eye. Nose. There's the nose right here. There's the mouth. And so the kid, his whole head and his eye becomes like half the brain of the devil. You see it? There you go. Now I'm going to draw that exact, guys, I'm going to draw that exact same thing in right on that hieroglyph and slide it right over. It's hidden in the negative space. Okay, there you go. So there's the eye, there's the other eye, here's the nose, there's the mouth, and there's the horn. So let's just slide it over. Again, eye of the kid, eye of the devil. The kid, by the way, has fangs. He's got vampire fangs because we're all vampiric. There it is. So, please don't anybody tell me that somehow I could get all those things to fit together. I mean, you know, that's a joke, right? I mean, how in the world could someone possibly come up with all those perfect data points and they all fit together like a perfect puzzle? And here we are, what, 2011? I did that in 2005. I started working on that. It's in the Just a Messenger series. So anyway, so here we are all these years down the road, and a hieroglyph that's 1,300 years before Christ is turning out to be true. Wow. And now I have just more data to back it up. That's the Lord God. That's how you know it's true. There's that DNA. Now look at that. That's a stinger. Look at that. And I drew very cautiously in. I was like, that is a stinger. I've seen stingers up close. I've examined stingers. That is a stinger. Even all the lines that go into it. That is absolutely a stinger. Okay, so now we've done that. Let's go back to Michelle Obama. Okay, so Michelle Obama is a serpent, and she's got the ostrich to represent the final judgment in Egyptian theology, and it represents your soul being weighed against your sin. Then if you want to look, just look at the ring on her finger. Now these lines that I put in with the tool I'm using to draw, I did the best I could. It's a little more straight than that, but watch. I'll show you the original so you can decide for yourself. And then just look at, and by the way, let's look at the general shape of an ostrich. So, be nice if it was a little bigger. I have to resize that one. Let's see, if I shrink it down, there we go. If I enlarge this one, I can drag this one. There you go. That is not a coincidence. That is absolutely an ostrich. Now let's look at the original. Here we go. Well, look at the original and we'll see how good the pixelation is on this. And then I'll stretch it out, and there you go. That is not any kind of a normal hand. That is the eye of the ostrich. See the line right there? There you go. There's the beak of the ostrich right there, and the line in the lip right there. That is very obvious. That is an ostrich. So they got an ostrich, and they got a serpent hatching from an egg, and Barack Obama is a Tyrannosaurus, and Barack Obama is a serpent striking. Let's go look at the final verdict on that image where I drew in the tongue and those other things. I put it up right next to this image of a serpent. There it is. The lines in his lips, around his face. There it is. So, and now I can see where it goes. You just got to go up right here to get the rest of the mouth stretched out open. And it goes right up there. There it is. Right up there. So there it is. Barack Obama is a deadly venomous serpent striking. There it is. There's the serpent. There's the Tyrannosaurus Rex. There's the dead sheep. And it just happens to be the identical thing as a hieroglyph that's 1,300 years before Christ. Can you say the resurrected mummy? Looks that way. Yep, he's probably a clone. Cloned himself. Pretty wild. Anyway, so controlled the human race. And, yep, the God of this world. Now let me show you an image on the side of Barack Obama's head right here. And if you look, you pay attention, right here, this is not right. The sperm right here, the sperm that goes right here, there you go. That is in the mouth of a serpent. The side of his head, this is a serpent, and there's the eye of the serpent right there. There's the eye. We've identified the eye coming down the nose. The mouth is open right here, bottom jaw, and the sperm is in the mouth of this serpent right here. There's the tip of the nose of the serpent. There's the open mouth. It's just like the card my wife gave me with the serpent eating a sheep. So it's all the same. It's all the same. How many times could you hit this same agenda? I mean, if it wasn't true, you couldn't. Let's take a look at Kehinde Wiley, and let's take a look at the twins. I want to slide the image up because here's the recurring theme I'm noticing. I told you guys there's a recurring theme. Okay. On my computer, on the right-hand side, when I open up my email, there's a commercial that's only about 15 seconds long. It comes up, and it has a kid's face, and then a raptor superimposes, like the raptor's looking at you, and it fades onto the kid's face, and it says, "Fearless kids aren't born, they're made." And it's an advertisement for Universal Studios. So I went to try and find the commercial. I found a long version of it, but they don't have the editing the same as the little one that pops up. I'm sure you'll see it on your computer. So why are they saying fearless kids aren't born, they're made? Because it's true. This serpent race was made. Correct. Here's a commercial I recorded last night that came on for Spectrum. It is an unbelievably...
With so many mattresses out there,
they say the future belongs to those who make it. Oh, you mean like the hieroglyph of Akhenaten? Here's a commercial.
And that's why some of us
And
just
that's why
can't stop
some
thinking
of us
about
can't
tomorrow.
stop thinking about tomorrow. Look what the screen turns to. The future belongs to those who make it. Wow, that's crazy. That is definitely a Tyrannosaurus Rex. The future belongs to those who make it. Oh, wow. You mean like this guy? Let's see. There you go. Tyrannosaurus Rex. To those who make it. Isn't that odd? Fascinating. Yep. Uh-huh. Those who make it. We have our eyes on the horizon. The future belongs to those who make it. Look what's on your screen. That's just crazy. The future belongs to
And that's why some of us just can't stop thinking about.
the future belongs to those who make it. This is the common theme now. This is just nuts. That's the common theme right there. Tyrant Lizard King. Rex. Okay, so now let me show you something very strange. Strange indeed. So we have a common denominator now again, and it looks like it's dinosaurs eating humans. And so there's a Tyrannosaurus Rex, no doubt about it. Barack Obama is absolutely a Tyrannosaurus Rex on one side and a dead sheep on the other. And in a hieroglyph of Akhenaten and Nefertiti, absolutely, there is a dead sheep that's in the head of the kid. There's a dead sheep that's in the head of the kid, as well as a baby Tyrannosaurus Rex, it looks like. Because that's not a snake. Looks like a baby dinosaur. Isn't that fascinating? Now, let's look at a couple more things. So this is irrefutable. Obama's definitely got a Tyrannosaurus Rex on the side of his head. This is irrefutable. There's a dead sheep with its tongue sticking out. That's the cumulative sum of the whole thing. The other thing is the cumulative sum of the whole thing is a serpent. There you go. The whole thing is a serpent. And Michelle Obama is definitely a serpent hatching from an egg right here. There you go. So now we have that as a common denominator in a hieroglyph that's 1,300 years BC, and it matches. And the ball is out of the park. Home run. Out of the park. No way to argue this. So, it looks like the serpent race is hatching, and Lady Gaga's right. Her performance at the Grammy Awards, where she got out of a lizard egg, is about a new race of beings being hatched within the human race. A race without prejudice, where you can do whatever you want. You don't have to do what the Lord God says, because you don't want the Lord God in your world, do you? No. Wow. And the ostrich, which I just was like, wow, that's crazy. The ostrich thing, let's do that. The ostrich thing represents the final judgment in Egyptian theology. There you go. Wow. And everybody's heart's about to be weighed in the balance. And here's the thing. Unless you got Christ, you are food for this race of beings. All there is to it. And if you're food for that race of beings, and guess what? You go to be food for them, and then you get resurrected and you get thrown into the lake of fire. And if you don't believe the lake of fire is real, then you weren't watching the hieroglyph video very well, because in the hieroglyph video, there's a guy Oh, whoops. There's a guy right there that's trapped in the pit. There's a guy that is trapped in hell. There it is. Okay. And so that gets resurrected and thrown into the lake of fire. Disturbing trend, isn't it? Let's look at one more image I said I was going to do earlier, and I forgot, but I want to do it. Okay, so Kahinde Wiley. Kahinde, what's up, dude? Let's look at these two girls that, let's see. So there is a raptor. Oh, yeah, that's a raptor. Let's see, I got another one right here. There we go. There you go. So the girl's hand is a raptor. Here we go. Look at that. Oh my gosh. There you go. Why is your hand a raptor? See, there it is. Her hand's a raptor, no doubt about it. So one twin is raptoring the other one. And again, that comes from here because that's what the situation is for the sheep. Yep. Kind of hard to hit that. There you go. There's the whole thing. There's a race within the race. You're looking at Lady Gaga's performance at the Grammy Awards right there. This is the same as Lady Gaga's performance at the Grammy Awards. She got out of a reptile race. She said, my performance is about a new race of beings being birthed within the human race. And you are looking at it on a hieroglyph that is 1,300 years before Christ. And now that egg has hatched. And the hatching of that egg is this guy named Barack Akhenaten, Barack Hussein Obama. There you go. All glory to God. Bam. Take the knockout. All right, there it is, guys. Wow. Now, I highly suggest everybody looks at these folders. I will make them available to you. And you can copy these on a jump drive. You should get a jump drive, plug it in your computer, go to this button right here and say, download this album, and start putting all this stuff on your jump drive that I literally gave my life away for to be able to share this information with you and everybody else, anyone that wants to receive the truth. The only way to receive the truth is to get turned upside down. That's it. Otherwise, you don't get it. All glory to God, guys.